New York City has changed. I've been able to see this city transform throughout my whole life, but I've never seen it as quiet as it is now. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about, is it still worth it? Hi guys, and good morning from New York City. Today is a super cold and gloomy day today here in New York. So I figured I'd take this as an opportunity to share with you guys if I think if New York City is still worth it. But first up, let's get to some warmth because my fingers are freezing. So is New York City worth it? Before we get into that, I do want to talk about why I always dreamt of living here. Despite my family living here, New York City to me has always been this place where your dreams come true. The city where anything is possible. And on top of that, there's just so much to do with so much culture. New York City is the ultimate melting pot with people from all over the world, which results in it having some of the best restaurants in the world. And on top of all of that, it's really good for business. People earn a higher income here, and especially as an entrepreneur, this is such a great place to be. They don't call it money-making Manhattan for nothing. And one of the main reasons why I do love New York City is for the energy. There's nothing like just walking the streets of New York, looking up at the skyscrapers, being surrounded by some of the most interesting people in the world. People that live here, I feel like always have the most interesting stories. And unfortunately, right now, the city has a different energy. It's definitely not like it used to be. So the question is New York City worth it? And my opinion on that and what I have been seeing a lot is that a lot of people have been moving out of the city. And that doesn't just go for New York City, but I feel like all major cities in general, whether that's Rome, Tokyo, or even Paris. People are fleeing the cities and moving back to the suburbs or with their parents. And this has left New York City for once feeling quite quiet. I was doing some research the other day and saw that there are over now 15,000 vacant apartments in New York City, which is more than there's ever been. And in result to all of that, that has led the supply and demand to shift where now the demand is very low, leaving the prices significantly lower. And in result to that, there of course have been some bad things that have came from that, but also some good, with a lot more opportunity. For one, I probably would not have gotten a studio space of this size with Gabe if we had to pay what it was going for last year. And speaking of that, I feel like this wall is really bothering me that it's like so white and blank, so let's change that. That's one of my favorite things about making these vlogs is that it gives me the impetus to do the things that I say I want to do. I've been wanting to do something to this wall for weeks now, and now that we're vlogging, let's get busy. All right, we're getting somewhere. Thank you guys for being my catalyst to finally get something on that wall. Now, for you guys watching this, do I recommend you guys to move to New York City? And if I had to answer that in one word, I guess I'd say yes, but it really does depend. The reason for me why I wanted to continue renting my apartment and also then signing this office space is because I really believe that within the next 2 years, 5 years, and beyond that, that New York City will hopefully be back to the energy and roaring like it once was, and being the epicenter for most industries. So for me, this was a great time to get a discount on a space like this where hopefully, you know, in a few months to the end of the year, it balances out when things go back up. I'll be ready to pay the amount that New York City really is. Since right now, apartments and offices are at such a discount. But with that comes New York City being at a discount in general, where you don't get that same experience like you used to. But I do have a feeling as things gradually start to get back to normal, that demand to move back to New York City will probably come. I do think that living in a city is one of the most exciting places to live, especially in New York City. And I have a feeling people will start getting sick of the suburbs pretty soon. So if you are someone that's looking to build a career or business here, then I think right now is a good time to get in at it. Or if you've always dreamt of New York City and maybe don't have the funds to do so, right now also is the opportunity of a lifetime. You won't get New York how it used to be, but it still has a lot to offer. This is how you know things are getting rough. When the dollar pizza place is now $1.75. Nah, totally understand. And right now I'm going to show you guys one of my favorite places to get lunch. And even though I typically never cook for myself and go grocery shopping, I feel better about going out and eating out every meal and supporting local restaurants. Hello, how you doing? Yeah, I'll just get the Pura Vida.
Okay, looks good.
Awesome, thank you. Look at all these birds! Wow. I don't know if you guys can see in the video, but like 50 birds just flew right through my face. So back to what I was saying earlier, how one of the main reasons that myself and others moved to New York City is for the food and for the best restaurants. And unfortunately, a lot of the best restaurants in the city had to close down. Some just temporarily and some permanently. So I feel like it makes me happier to support local place. This is my favorite acai bowl place. Pliables. It is kind of expensive. This one's about 14 bucks, but it's just so addicting and so good. Another thing to take into consideration is that a lot of the districts here in Manhattan are completely different. For instance, right now I am in Soho, and Soho unfortunately is not the same Soho it used to be. A lot of those stores and expensive luxury shops closed their doors. See right here, we have some graffiti right behind me. Right across the street you have more graffiti, even like some wooden planks covering windows. So it's a different vibe. A lot of these retail stores unfortunately couldn't make it through. But anyway, right now we're about to go meet up with a friend who is also a fellow YouTuber and works in the real estate market. Let's see what he has to say. All right, so I also wanted to share the perspective from one of my friends who is also a New York City resident and also is heavily into the real estate market and knows a lot about the rents. So, Theo, what do you think about New York City? Do you think it's worth it?
Maybe. What do you think?
I'm just kidding. I'm here with Erik, who is a fellow YouTuber. Erik, so what do you think from your perspective, who knows a lot about the New York City market? Do you think that it's worth it? You can say about right now, or if you think that maybe it'll prosper in the near future.
I think that if you're looking to move to the city, first time ever, you're from anywhere else and this is your first time moving to the city, I think for rentals, it is one of the best times, just because rents in some cases are almost 40% lower than what they would normally be in that range of like the 2,000 to 4,000. I mean, even the place I'm renting now, I got a very, very large discount. This situation in the world has changed how we all work, right? You don't really necessarily need to be in a specific place now, but if you have to be in New York City, or if it's your dream to come here, one, I think New York, if it's good at anything, it's bouncing back. New York City will always come back. So is it worth it moving to New York City right now? The answer in short, it depends. It depends on what you want to do. What is your reason for being here? The city, as you've seen in this video, is very different. The things that made New York, New York aren't really here anymore. So it really comes down to your reason why. It has to be a very powerful reason why to make it worth being here.
All right, we're not gonna hold you to this, but when do you think New York City will start getting some growth again? Obviously now the vaccine is coming out, but do you think that New York, once the world opens back up, that it will suddenly start coming back right away? Do you think rents are gonna go right up?
I think that people will try to drive the market up, but I think that humans will always have that bit of hesitation. There will be the early adopters, the people who are like, yup, it's ready, I'm moving back. But I think for the majority of people, it's gonna take a bit of time. That kind of fear and stigma that the virus has created, it's gonna be in the consciousness of humanity for quite some time. So I think maybe 2 years. If I'm being realistic, 2 years. But I can't tell the future.
Theo, is New York City still worth it?
No.
So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and got some insights into what New York City looks like right now and where it might be going. Also, if you guys do want to support the channel, I did just launch some new Fortune merchandise, which I'll link down below. All right, that's gonna be it for today's video. Let's get out and get busy in the next one.